Tim, Tim, can you hear me?
There we go. Just had to push a couple more buttons.
Oh, hey, Tim, thank you so much for coming on, man. My mom's on here too, but she's just using her photo.
Hi,
Oh
Tim. How
man,
are you?
that's great. I'm happy to at least halfway meet you, Mama Rose. It's an honor.
Thank
Rush,
you.
jeez. I
Yeah.
keep thinking about you as this Rose in my mind. So it's so funny. I think Brandon Rush and Mama Rose. I don't know why that's in
Oh,
my head.
hey, Tim, I absolutely love it. Tim, thank you so much for coming on today, man. I really appreciate you. I know you have a busy schedule, so I appreciate you even coming on.
It's a pleasure and an honor.
Absolutely. Tim, so welcome to the Buckle Up We're recording. Welcome to the Buckle Up Podcast universe with Brandon Rush, me, and my mom, Mama Rush, who's using her photo today.
Love it. I've been enjoying the episodes past, and now I get to be present. This is cool.
Hey, absolutely, absolutely. So, Tim, what I know about you a little bit, I kind of feel like you're a bit of an entrepreneur or something. I don't, however you explain it, however you best explain it, I guess.
You know what? It's a great angle to take. It is how my brain has always worked, and I grew up in an unair conditioned trailer in South Texas, of all places,
Holy smokes!
with horses and the horses and snakes and cattle and the whole nine yards. And from a young age, we didn't have a pot to piss in, and
Yeah.
it was always a challenge. Like, all right, what am I going to do about that? And the first thing I did when I got a driver's license was figured out that manure was good for gardens, put an ad in the paper,
Oh.
and was just trying to make gas money for my little old truck, and literally sold horse shit until it was all gone. The supply.
Tim, now, so that's kind of crazy. So going to the manure. So you're from Texas.
Yeah.
You, as you grew in a place that didn't have. I don't even know how you managed without air conditioning back then in Texas.
Thank goodness I was the youngest of three. So by the time I was about 7, we stepped up to the modular house that had some air conditioning. So I was so young I didn't remember too much other than my brother would pour ice water on his pillow at night and turn the fan on.
Holy smokes. So Tim, you said that basically from the age of, I guess, 15, 16, when you could drive, you realized that you could make money using manure
Yeah.
How did you even, I mean, even the thought process of that, what made you think to, I guess, from the horses on where you guys were at?
Yeah, I overheard adults talking about it. And my dad would spread manure to help fields kind of like grow a little bit. And then I overheard some ladies talking about gardening, and oh my gosh, if we could just find some great fertilizer and compost. And I'm like, man, we got piles of this.
Yeah.
What we have is land and manure. I spent $20, put an ad in the paper, and shoveled manure for a summer, and till it was all gone.
Holy smokes.
But I'd had a job since I was 12. There's 2 bowling alleys in the United States that still exist to this day that literally use teenage boys as the machines. There's no equipment in the back. And so at the age of 12, I got a job at the old German bowling alley and would go there on Wednesday nights after watching Kermit the Frog cartoons. And go be the machine in the back. And so that was first job at 12.
So you've been
Yeah.
you've been working since you were 12 years old. So you've
Yeah.
literally, like, I mean, you've been not your own boss, but you've developed a work ethic at such an early age. Does that come from just your upbringing with your parents, I would assume? Or is it just like innate in you?
Sure, it has to. There's nature and nurture. The nature in me is my brain has always thought about creative problem solving and entrepreneurship. And I got to see my dad go from us having zero money at all to being a world-renowned structural engineer. And he ultimately became very successful, but he had to pick himself up by the bootstraps to do it. In fact, I remember reading about Booker T. Washington in middle school. I did a research project on him, and he was kind of an inspiration. So
Okay.
just seeing my dad, he worked his tail off, built a barn for my mom from scratch. He was always busy, and I guess it was learned by example. And hey, I wanted to be able to do adventures and buy things and enjoy life. And by God, you better do it yourself. Nobody's gonna do it for you.
Yeah. I know
Just
that's
like
right.
you.
Yeah.
So learning what you're doing with the podcast and your career, it's like I love that synchronicity and energy and drive that you've got.
Thank you so much, Tim. I appreciate that. It's interesting. I'm not going to touch on it for too long, but mom's dad was an engineer.
Yeah, mechanical engineering.
Mechanical engineering.
Oh, very
Mhm.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
very similar. That's
yeah.
impressive.
Absolutely. So Tim, so you literally go from you're working at this bowling alley in the you're working at this bowling alley, your first job at 12, then to when you're 15, 16, you're taking manure and you have this business venture. I guess your first business venture of
Yep.
realizing that you can make this money off of doing manure. Where do you go from there? So you finish, I assume that did you play sports in high school too, or you just mainly just worked?
Yeah, three sports in high school, 4-year Letterman, all that good stuff. And uh, when I sold out of all the manure, had to get other jobs, so I became a whitewater rafting guide, and
Mhm.
got to go cruise down rivers and just be like a host and kind of entertain people while keeping them safe and giving them an adventure. And did that through high school, and then went
Okay.
off to college. Probably the next entrepreneurial thing was, um, I literally had to convince my parents to co-sign for a loan for me because halfway through college, I decided, you know what? I think I could sell my car, put a down payment on a trailer house, rent
Okay.
out 2 of the rooms, and live a lot cheaper and build an asset while I'm in
Mhm.
college.
Wow.
And,
Oh,
and they looked at me like I had 3 heads. And I remember my mom going, there's no way you're going to pull this off, but all right, we'll do it. So I put
yeah.
all the numbers together for them and made it happen. So went back into another trailer. But we had a ball. It was roomier than an apartment,
Yeah.
and graduated with an asset.
Wait, so Tim,
So
sorry, I want to make sure I have this correct. So you, while you're in college, where'd you end up going to college at too, Tim?
Texas A&M, proud
Okay. Oh,
Oh,
proud
good
Aggie.
good
Eagle.
school.
Aggies. Yeah, the Aggies. Johnny Manziel. That's right. We talked about that the other day.
That's right.
What did you study while you were there, Tim? What was your degree? I
Uh,
guess.
a weird major called industrial distribution.
Hmm.
And literally what I did was describe to my older brother, who was at A&M when I was in high school.
Okay.
I told him I kind of want to be an engineer like dad, but I don't want to sit at a desk all day like dad. I want to do something that's sort of entrepreneurial. And A&M was like one of 5 places in the country that had sort of this combined hybrid degree that was engineering, marketing, and industrial sales management and warehousing. And he said, man, there's major job demand for that.
Oh wow.
So I was the only person who actually started off in that major at Texas A&M over 5 years because I just
Oh,
asked the questions of, here's my skill set, here's what I want to do, what's going to translate into a job.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
man.
so now I talk to high school kids about that decision making process so they don't get saddled with a useless degree and 50K in debt and
Yeah.
do that decision making. So ended up with a weird major that walked across the stage 4 years later with 5 job offers and more money than any of my friends.
Jeez, man. Tim, there's two things I wanted to touch on that you said. One
Yeah.
was the fact that I do want to get back to the high school thing. You talking to high schools because I think that's so important. But you said that I think it was your junior or sophomore year that you decided that you could, I guess, buy a what was it called, a trailer house? What was it called?
Yeah. Buy a mobile home.
And then you rented that out to two other people and kind of made like I guess that's like it was your property.
That's right. That's right. I bought it. It was like $16,000. I had to put $2,500 down, make payments every month, but then rented the two other rooms to my friends. We all lived cheaper than we would have in an apartment,
Yes, sir.
and had a nice big space, and it was great. Had a little yard and everything, and so was like, man, this little theory is kind of easy.
Yeah.
Just think outside the box and put the numbers together and see what works. And so it really developed a lifelong passion for real estate.
Mm.
That first college investment.
Okay. Well, and so Tim, wow, man, that's Tim. I knew you were when I was talking to you the other day, my mind was just blown just about like the stuff we were talking about. So you have this when after the degree that you took, you ended up having 5 different job offers that you were able to do. Did you end up going with those job offers? Did you end up sticking on the entrepreneurial side, or you did both at the same time?
Yeah, ultimately, I've kind of always tried to do both, but for sure, putting that degree to use was the way to go.
Mhm.
And I just, of course, college kid, I took the one with the biggest salary and the biggest adventure. So like, I packed up and moved to Iowa for like 6 months because it was the most money, and they said we need somebody to come learn with us for 6 months, and you need to be ready to go open an entire business for us on the Gulf Coast of Louisiana.
Holy
Mm.
smoke.
And they had this company had been coming to seminars put on by my major, so I was doing like hosting events with these companies and networking with these folks that came in. So they learned about my entrepreneurial spirit and said, all right, we're going to give you a shot. We'll
Mm,
hire you right out of college, train you, and then put you to work. Go make it happen.
mm.
Man, so Tim, you get out, you go to Iowa, and then because they know about your entrepreneurial spirit, the way how you were with businesses already, and then you went down to Louisiana. I take it.
Right. Went down to New Orleans and opened up a sandblasting hoses and parts distributorship.
Mm.
So the hilarious part was there was already a Tim working at this company in Iowa. So they nicknamed me Tex Gallaway because I was from Texas. So I literally had to show up in these Cajun deep woods, deep swamp, little industrial facilities and introduce myself as Tex Gallaway. And man, I'm here to sell you something. It
Hey,
was a trip.
I absolutely love that.
Tim, I want to ask a question.
Sure.
I was listening to you, and I'm just amazed about your talents. That God has truly given you many talents. But something you mentioned, you said when you were in high school, you decided to do your paper research on Booker T. Washington. As
Mhm.
a white man, why did you decide to study a black man?
I don't know. I really don't recall if it was because we're talking 1983. I'm not even sure if there was
Mm-hmm,
African American studies then
mm-hmm,
in South Texas. I really don't know the decision making process other than go into the library and it was find a historical character that inspires you,
uh-huh.
and just happen to go see this history of this man whose blurb really resonated with me is
Oh, okay.
no matter what his circumstances, and
Color.
and he just resonated. So I loved it.
What a beautiful spirit to have. What a beautiful person you
Seriously.
are to look at, and that's what is so I see why Brandon gravitated to you. I do see that. And to look at what this man accomplished, and that
Right.
you could use some of his accomplishments as far as inspiring you for your future. And I always love hearing that type of thing. Now you can let's go ahead and talk about this job that you do, real estate that you do now. Let's move on.
Wait, there was Tim. Sorry, I want to hit one more thing too.
Yeah.
I do want to. I want to mix both of them together with you. You also mentioned how you speak at schools and give them this advice. So I want to combine. I guess if you can touch on both, if you wouldn't mind, with your real estate that you do as well, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, sure. So my real estate passion eventually turned into a side gig getting into short-term rentals when Airbnb and Verbo were kind of coming on board. And I liked the concept and found a property that checked about 2 dozen different boxes for me that I really liked as a property. Learned how to do that market, and then kind of pioneered a few things, which
Okay.
was taking major risk and having water centric as well as like kind of the first arcade that I've ever heard of in Airbnbs. Now they all have them. And
Okay.
so I got into short term rentals, and one property turned into two, which turned into three, and so on. And eventually, at the end of COVID, I sold those all as a business. I found a buyer, a corporate buyer for those as an ongoing business,
Mm-hmm.
and I was able to sell those. And now we've converted those funds into new real estate ventures. So it's allowed me to retire from the corporate world because for about 8 years, I didn't have a vacation. My poor wife never
Oh,
got to go overseas. I was running a company and running short-term rental business 24/7 as the host and marketing and doing all the finances. So eventually decided, all right, if we're going to retire early, I'm going to have to do it, and sold it all, tripled my money on all the real estate, and have been able to turn that into kind of ongoing businesses that now allow me to be retired and travel the world with my wife.
oh,
Holy
it's
smokes,
beautiful.
Tim! I had a question. Oh, sorry, Mom. Unless you have a question, I have a question.
No, you got to ask a question.
Tim, so with that, so with the three properties, the one that turned into three, you said you kind of pioneered that, which means like, well, obviously you're ahead of the game of it, and you were learning it so much of it. This company saw you and was like, hold on a second, this guy is like not competition per se, but like he's a person that we want to learn from, or I don't know what's the best way to do it. I don't know if you were competition per se, but it's like they saw that you had something that was very unique.
Right. They found the properties. They loved the concept that I was doing with them. And of course I had years of rental history and all the finances on spreadsheets and, in an organized fashion. And they had just sold, I don't know, like 37 Verizon stores. So they had a bunch of capital. They wanted to put it into short-term real estate. And they were specifically looking for properties that accommodated multiple families
Hmm.
and were kind of like the creme de la creme of wherever they were. And so we
Okay.
had private waterfalls and just all kinds of really cool features such that they weren't just a cabin on the side of a mountain somewhere.
Yeah.
They're really unique with all kinds of private stuff going on. And so they wanted to buy them and put their money in that and diversify their assets.
Holy smokes, man. That's as Tim, you're ahead of the game. Clearly.
Luck plays into it too. COVID, with these were mountain properties,
Okay.
and during COVID, everybody wanted to escape, and they quit going overseas for a while. So that really was very good for the business,
Okay.
and very good for real estate values. And so I was very fortunate that during COVID, real estate values went up, and we were able to capitalize on that timing. So
Absolutely.
always, if somebody says, "Man, I did it all," God, your parents,
That's
luck,
Yeah.
the market.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have like one of my best friends, him and his wife. She has a home designing decor business, and then my other friend has been really successful in flipping homes.
Cool.
I know that when he hears your story, I know that it's gonna invigorate his spirit, because like what you've done is like, even though he's in the home flipping business, like with flipping home side of it, him hearing your story is like, I don't want to say, I don't want to speak on his behalf, but basically what he's going to hear from you, because I can't wait for him to hear this, is what you're doing is, I think, something that he would ultimately love to be able to do, because I know he loves spending time with his kids. And
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I love consulting with people. I do it all for free. A lot of people come and seeking advice on how do everybody wants to get into Airbnb now. So
Mhm.
I probably taught more people out of it than into it because the market's changed a lot in the
yeah,
last 2 years. But absolutely, he's doing the same thing. He's looking at real estate as an investment and an asset, and taking a different approach to it. So
absolutely.
I love talking about that stuff.
Man, Tim, you're a blessing, because obviously you could charge an arm and a leg to do this, to give people this advice, but you just have this goodness in your heart to help people.
It's fun to share. When
Absolutely.
you're passionate about something, it's just like you. With no doubt, you have mentored people into acting, and social media management, and all these things you're successful at. So,
Absolutely.
it's fun. It's fun to give.
Indeed. Mom, unless you have a question, I have another one for Tim.
okay. Yes, Tim, you do a lot of talking, consulting, uh, and to young people. And we have a lot of young people trying to figure out what they want to do in life and how to go about doing certain things. And you have mentioned your career path. But when you're speaking to young people, when they have no direction, what do you tell them?
Oh wow, there's so much, and what I tell them is, for the last 20 years, a lot of you have been told something in error with good intention by a lot of the adults around you. And that refrain has been, it doesn't matter what degree you get, you got to go to a 4-year college and you just got to get that piece of paper and get that degree. And that is the advice that's turned into a $1.7 trillion worth of debt
Mm, I saw
and
that.
saddled the average kid with over 50K in debt.
Mhm.
And almost 60% of children who've graduated college in the last 10 years have ended up in jobs that require a high school diploma.
Mhm.
And what I tell them is, don't listen to this overall advice of that. We've got to change that refrain. And you're starting to see that in the market. Mike
Mhm.
Rowe, a lot of people are saying it's about a marketable skill. No
Mhm.
matter who you are, now even the blue collar degree, 1 or 2 years, is the new master's degree.
Mhm.
And so I try to just expand people's thoughts and give them dollars and cents. And I remember being in a room full of administrators, principals, and Lexington One, where we live,
Mhm.
a lot of teachers and stuff. And one of them opened it up. I was there to speak to them before speaking to the entire school and all their classes, because they wanted to see, what am I going to tell these kids?
Yeah.
And one of the teachers said, what we like to tell our kids is they need to follow what their passion is. Whatever they're interested in, they need to do that for a job and go to college to do that. And I said, what if it's painting unicorns? And they're like, well, we tell them to follow their passion. What do you think about that, Mr. Galloway? And I said, that's great when they're spending disposable income that they've made because they have a skill that society values enough to give them a paycheck for.
Yeah.
And your passion can be your hobby. That's a
Mhm.
lifelong thing. But what I tell kids is no matter what your skill sets are, there is a career out there and it's not hard to find. And here's the numbers. And in fact, 3 years ago, the last time I was speaking to entire schools, Midlands Tech, that's the local 2-year school that a lot of suburban white parents would turn their nose up at, be like, oh, it would be too embarrassed to send my child there, right?
Mhm.
And then I tell them, did you know that 14 of the top 20 highest paying jobs right now, you can get in 2 years for a fourth the price at Midlands Tech
Holy
and
smoke.
make more than engineers at Clemson?
Mm.
Wow.
Isn't that
And
awesome?
yep,
Yeah.
the statistics are there, the numbers are there, and people have not been exposing kids to that. They've just been telling them, go get that degree. And going in and talking to predominantly Black schools, it's
Mhm.
heart-wrenching because they're being given that advice
Mhm.
and they're ending up in greater debt than the more affluent kids. And
Mhm.
so these larger minority schools that come from lesser affluent areas are
Mhm.
ending up with worse economic results by
Mm.
getting that bad advice. And so it killed me. And so I love trying to talk to folks and help them understand you don't have to spend an arm and a leg to get an amazing career. You can beat the system
Yeah.
in half the time and a fourth the money in
Yeah.
so many cases. And
Mm.
so it's being real with kids and giving them real dollars and cents and real advice and not being stuck in a 30 years ago mindset where absolutely you got to go to college and get a 4-year degree. It's great if you're getting a degree that society values enough to give you a paycheck for.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Kick butt, go do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
With that said, Tim, in the high schools, they're trying to take out things that used to educate kids, for instance, mechanical drawing,
Right,
construction, uh, I guess, what is it, auto mechanics. They're trying to
right.
downsize those programs instead of putting more money into those programs, whereby students have an option of not going to college, being able to continue in that career path. And so I don't know how you change the educational system mindset. And
Yeah.
that's something that needs to be considered based on what you've said here today.
Absolutely. Institutional mindsets are hard to change. You think it's hard to steer an aircraft carrier on a dime, steering a bureaucracy is tough. But
Mm-hmm.
there's an amazing amount of stuff going on right now. For instance, in Lexington 1 where we live,
Mm-hmm.
the school has poured a ton of money into basically a 2-year VOTEC school
Oh.
that now high school kids are graduating with nursing assistant degrees. They're
Mm.
graduating with 15 to 30 hours of college credit. So you are seeing in a lot of these districts now schools turning that tide because student loan debt has become
Yeah.
such an issue. And so
Mm-hmm.
you'd be overjoyed to know that's happening at least in South Carolina in a lot of districts. They're
Oh,
they're
good.
putting in those practical ones. So right now, like for instance, our son, he's 16, he can bus over to the medical campus and get a jump start on a medical career while he's getting
Mm-hmm.
high school and college credit sophomore,
Mm-hmm.
junior, and senior year. And so there's a lot of kids now getting out of high school and they got a degree right away. They can go into a job making $15-20 an hour. So there's
Wow.
hope. It's
Have,
happening.
Yeah.
have you spoken to Richland School District 1 or 2? Have you spoken with 1 or 2 in
I
a counseling
have.
program? Okay,
It's
great.
been a few years, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to say that I met some superintendent level folks within um, Richland County's districts, but wouldn't want to say anything negative about anybody. But
Of course not.
I was saddened with the conversations there because for me it was a huge passion to think, oh my gosh, a lot of these kids, Richland has a higher proportion of African Americans,
That's
and
correct.
those kids are getting economically disadvantaged because a lot of them are getting pushed into degrees that are not useful
Mm-hmm.
to them.
Mm-hmm.
And when I brought this up at the superintendent level, um, maybe I'm the wrong messenger for it, but they were really taken aback and kind of made it sound like basically what the person told me was, it sounds like you're telling me that our kids can't be as successful as the kids in Lexington. And I went
Oh, that
ghost
one.
white. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
that's not at all what I'm saying. I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying that they more than anyone else deserve to have the knowledge, advice, and facts
Mm-hmm.
required to make these good decisions so that they don't have them and their families suffer negative economic
That's right.
consequences. Um, and so it really came across to them like I was sort of talking down, and I just thought, well, maybe I'm the wrong messenger.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to say it's not the message. The message is clear. The
Yeah,
messenger, they saw the messenger and not the message. And that's
yeah,
sad because
Yeah.
what you're just pointing out facts.
Yeah.
And I
right.
know when I decided to go to college, my daddy said, okay, what do you plan to major in? Well, it was not going to be just anything. I said, Daddy, I guess I'm going to do science, biology, and chemistry. He said, right answer. Now, what do you want? What do you want to do with that degree after we help you pay for it? I said, well, I want to be a nurse. He said, no, wrong answer. He said, because you're smarter now at this point to be the doctor. And why should you take the mess off a doctor when you just have as much sense as that doctor? So I said, okay. I said, knowledge. So I said, Daddy, why don't I just sell medicines to physicians? He said, oh, that sounds like a great idea. So with that, my sister is a doctor. I could have been a doctor, but I sold medicines to doctors. But I knew both of my parents being educators, and my mother taught French and my daddy taught mechanical engineering. They
Oh
always
wow, what a
instilled, yeah. And so our parents taught us what to do. What they kind of directed us as to
yeah.
if you want to make money, what do you want to do? But sometimes I think people fail to realize that technical or vocational systems are the way that people should go. If you have that skill set, go in that direction, as you mentioned earlier. And it's so good that you've spoken to Lexington and they got the message.
Yeah.
Hopefully Richland County will get the message from just this podcast of 3 million people watching. Maybe an educator will listen and say he is dead right in what he's saying. Let's
Yeah.
just rethink the path. And sometimes you have to get rid of the old ways that people have. It's institutionalized ways, but just get rid of that. And I think that's a good thing. But go ahead and finish talking. I am just so happy to hear you today.
Yeah, Tim,
Okay.
Tim, you got a heart of gold, man. I love you. I really do. Like, you're such a blessing to people. If you don't realize that yet, you are.
Mm,
Well, I appreciate you saying that. It's just like, my operating philosophy in life is see the good.
Mhm.
okay.
So it probably came from reading The Art of Happiness by the Dalai Lama
Oh, wow.
30
Mm,
years ago.
mm-hmm,
And I remember in there, the recurring theme of the book is take the two most opposite people on the planet,
mm-hmm,
and they are 99.9% the same. And we're not just talking DNA.
mm-hmm.
Most people want happiness, health, and to be good. And, people get lost in the details. And it's fun to be happy, and it's fun to always see the good in people.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of good in you
Yeah.
too that resonates as well. So this makes it super fun to hang with you guys.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Tim. We're happy to have you here, Mom. Sorry, I felt like you had
Yeah.
another question, Mom.
Yes, I want to ask Tim, do you have any children?
Oh, he did say everything.
Mhm.
So,
Do you
Yeah.
have any kids? And have they decided to follow your path?
oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so great question. Interestingly, my son, who's 16,
Mhm.
absolutely was born with this entrepreneurial spirit. He
Mm,
was asking me questions about the stock market when he was 7,
what?
and when he was 8 or 9, he would call me during the day and say, "Dad, can you put $50 into Ford?"
What?
So I was this third grader's stockbroker for a little while. So the apple
Okay.
did not fall far. And so my wife and I, we just celebrated our 11-year anniversary this week.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And our older son is actually graduating from med school Thursday of next week. So a week from today.
Great.
So
Great.
yeah, the kids, we've got 3 kids.
Congratulations, Dad.
Oh, thank you.
And Mommy.
Thank you. Yep. And then so my son, it was funny. It was ever since he was in kindergarten, he's wanted to be a doctor. And I've always been like, man, get me the heck out of school. I want to go have fun and make money. I could never be a doctor. Way too much school. And when he was kindergarten, his class teacher did a thing, what do y'all want to do? And she sent home the list, and the teacher's cracking up because I want to be it's all, I want to be a princess. I want to be a fireman. I want to be and Trip not just wanted to be a doctor. He was specific because he'd overheard my wife and I talking about great medical careers with our oldest son and how dermatology is a very vaunted one because it's great income, low risk, it's a great medical career. So we come home and Trip has put down on his little chart, I want to be a dirty monolith. He couldn't even say dermatology.
Yeah.
And he's still on that path.
Amazing.
So his specialty is dermatology.
He's 16, but he wants his specialty to be either dermatology or anesthesiology. He's very, very quiet. So he's learned that if you're an anesthesiologist, your patients aren't talking very much.
That's correct. But the kid that's graduating from medical school right now, is that another son? A different son?
It is another son. It's just my wife's son. So she brought 2 older kids, and I brought a 3-year-old to our relationship.
Oh, that's great. And what is his specialty? Has he decided what he wants to specialize in?
He has. He really has enjoyed internal medicine.
Okay.
He joined the Air Force to get medical school paid for. So again, he heard those debt conversations with us. So he's going to be elevating in rank to captain on Friday in his military ceremony. So he'll give them 6 years and they'll decide if he gets to do internal medicine or aerospace, but he loves internal medicine and is letting Uncle Sam help pay for his medical school.
Wow, you all have done an outstanding job. Many blessings. Many blessings.
We got lucky with really easy, sweet kids too.
Tim, did you say you had a daughter? Did I hear that correctly? I'm sorry. I know you have 2 sons. What does your daughter do?
Our oldest daughter just graduated with a PhD in biochemistry.
You don't stop. She's my water down.
Yeah.
I think your granddaddy and daddy are probably happy about what we've done with these kids.
Seriously.
So she's but she loves to teach. She was teaching a lot, putting herself through the PhD, and so she's teaching high school chemistry. She just got married and is in St. Louis. So she's grown and gone and just happy as a clam.
Oh man, y'all have done a fabulous.
Yeah, bravo, man, bravo. Outstanding job.
We'd rather be lucky than good any day. We got lucky with our kids.
Amen. I know that's right. Tim, you've been absolutely wonderful, Mom. I'm gonna make sure that Tim, I'm gonna need you to come back on too, if you wouldn't mind. Awesome. Anytime, the information you've had, the information that you've told us, also just I'll say it basically in a kind way. What you try to do to help out at Richland, it's unfortunate because I know why. It's ignorance that I believe that stepped in with them not letting you speak there, but you were trying to do something good. And had it been me doing that speech, it would have been a different story. They would have listened to it. But I know, because I hate to say it, but because of the, your tone, or your skin tone, that's probably why they weren't listening. But I appreciate you for still having the heart to do that anyway, because there's always going to be those people in this world that are willing to either make that sacrifice or trying to help because we're all human at the end of the day. And we all bleed red, and you see that. And so I think I commend you for doing all that you have done. And I hope that someone from, Richland County, or even because we have 3.4 million people watching now, we jumped since the other day when I saw you.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. Congratulations on the success. That's awesome.
Thank you, Tim. I hope someone out there in the world hears hey man, this man Tim here is on the ball about what he's talking about. And they'll definitely have calling questions for you for sure. And I can let you know. And so we'd love to have you back on. And I want to make sure that Tim, you had the other business venture too, which we didn't talk about, but you've been successful, man. The
Yeah,
bus
Tim,
business.
that's what I wanted to see, the
Yeah.
other venture you have.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Because you said you have two. You've retired now. Did you pick up anything else to
Oh, yeah.
pursue?
Oh, gotcha. Well, we just kind of shifted. I've seen a big shift in the short-term rental market. So we took a big gamble exploring a new aspect of it, which is to cater to the really high-end shoppers and therefore separate from the gold rush of people getting into Airbnbs and kind of doing the cheap corporate, cheap furniture, one roll of toilet paper, kind of thing. But no, that's it. I was able to retire from the corporate world, so that was
Yeah,
job number
that's a
2 for
beautiful
a long
thing.
time.
Hmm.
And now I'm a trail maintenance engineer, so I take a machete into the woods and keep waterfall trails up, and that's way more fun
Oh,
than being an
Oh, wow.
executive.
Yeah, absolutely.
enjoying nature and
Yeah.
making it happen. This is so wonderful. I just love young because I retired young. And I just love seeing this energy you have. Hey, people, if y'all thinking about leaving your job, the Lord has a way for you to do whatever you want to do. You just have to step out on faith sometimes in certain areas and say, let me
Yeah.
move on to something and enjoy this life that God has given us.
Yeah.
And so I see you are enjoying it. I see that nature picture behind you.
Oh,
On the
absolutely.
wall, nature.
Yes, that was spring in Ireland a few years ago. Absolutely
Oh,
gorgeous.
Oh, wow. That was actual photo of you guys there or being there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
Yep.
amazing. And you
Yep, I
finally got
do.
to travel.
Yes, absolutely. So photography's become a new passion. So there's a creative outlet there.
oh, you took that picture.
Yes, ma'am.
Holy
Oh,
smokes.
goodness. What talent. What talent. That's so beautiful. Well, I tell you, Brandon, I think I've asked all the questions, and I want to thank you so much, Tim,
Yeah,
for your
Tim.
time. I didn't get a chance to meet your wife, but Brandon showed me a quick video yesterday or someplace he put it out there of your beautiful home on the outside. I saw a swimming pool and everything, and the
Beautiful.
backdrop behind you, the back of
Yeah.
it. And I'm so glad that you had him over. He had just a wonderful time at your home.
Absolutely. We're lucky and happy and great to have him over. And I see the apple, your apple didn't fall far from its tree either.
He's a great son, and I count it a blessing because he chose to be and go into acting. And my mother would act sometimes. My daddy said she should have been on stage. And anyway, but Brandon has that talent, and I'm so glad now that we're counting with 77 TV shows and movies,
Yeah.
Brandon, and that is so great. And I'm glad he has exposed me to so much. And I'm appreciative. Coming from South Carolina, he was born in Virginia, but we have two sons. But I tell you, he has exposed me to so much, especially out there in Hollywood. And now he's going to New York, and so I've had that joy, that pleasure of having him as a son. So I thank the Lord for him as well.
Well, it's been a pleasure getting to talk to you. Maybe next time we'll have Mrs. Galloway on here and get to see you live and in person too.
Absolutely, Tim.
All right.
Absolutely. Tim, thank you so much, man, for coming on. I appreciate you. Like the moment I spoke to him, I'm like, oh my gosh, Tim's on the ball and like on like a inspiring level. Yeah, you like I've been inspired today, just like I was inspired the other day. And your inspiration, like your family, your upbringing, you're an amazing human being.
And his
Wow.
free
Yes, ma'am.
heart. He has a free heart. I see that. Okay.
Well, y'all are kind to spend time with me. It's been a pleasure, and I'm happy to be back anytime.
All right, that
So
sounds good,
Brandon,
Tim.
what
Well,
do we
we always give a
get ready to
clap,
do?
Tim.
All right, clap, 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 clap.
Tim, you've been wonderful, man. Thank you so much for coming on. And then I'll have this back to you probably within like 48 hours or so.
Sounds awesome, guys. Have a wonderful Wednesday.
You too,
You
Tim.
do
Thank you
say.
so
Thank
much, man.
you for sharing. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Here, let me figure out this thing.
Outstanding,
Yeah,
Brandon.
Tim was amazing.
Outstanding. What an inspiration.
Seriously, he's on the ball. Let me see record. Let me stop this recording.
It's been